Hello everyone, welcome to an episode that will deal with Précis writing. We will learn about the mechanics of writing in this section. In order to understand the importance of this topic in English grammar, an attempt will be made to discuss it intensively. I am Sakshi Mandwal and our subject expert today is Vasundhara Gautam. In this episode, we will learn about what is Précis writing, the difference between Précis and paraphrasing, uses of Précis, method or procedure of Précis writing. This episode will help the students to improve and enhance their writing skills, be precise or specific while writing, construct an argument while writing. Script. We all know that it is important to learn grammar in order to understand the rules of a language. Grammar dictates the rules of writing or that of a written language. It also teaches us to use language in an efficient manner. Writing is an essential part of a language. It helps to state or communicate one's thoughts clearly. Compared to spoken language, written language is a more permanent form. It is essential to learn writing as it teaches us precise articulation of feelings. It also clarifies our thoughts and hence our ideas become clearer. In this episode, we will learn to write Précis. What is a Précis? A Précis is a summary and Précis writing means summarizing the piece of writing. It is an exercise of being precise or compressing a larger number of words into less number of words. A précis is the main theme or gist of the story or the passage. A précis covers all the important points of the given essay. It has a proper beginning, middle, and end. While writing, writers use a lot of detailed description for the reader to understand the point he wants to illustrate on. They not only use detailed description but also use different imageries, metaphors and draw parallels to articulate their feeling in a very stylistic manner. This also adds a visual quality to their writings that can make it interesting while reading. They sometimes draw upon different writers, theorists and philosophers to make their work more interesting or to make a point more valid. In Précis writing, instead of focusing on the detailed description or imagery, or the argument of different philosophers, one should focus on the main points. By main points, we mean what the writer is trying to say by giving different examples in his or her work. A Précis should be well articulated, well structured, and it should follow a logical progression of thought. It should also include all the main points of the essay, so that another person reading the Précis can get the sense or grasp the meaning of the original piece of writing without actually reading the original text. Précis contains the essence of the given piece of writing.
In our routine life that is normally hectic, we do not have time to read materials that are exhaustively written. We need to produce short summaries of those write-ups. Therefore, Précis writing becomes extremely important. Not that Précis writing is a phenomenon of modern times. It has been there for long, ever since human beings have felt to visit matters quickly and in a short span of time. What is a Précis? Précis is essentially a summary. How do we write a Précis? There are certain techniques involved. Firstly, we should be aware that Précis, which is a summary, should contain the main points written in a write-up. It is not necessary to include the details, but then as a reader, we have to be perceptive enough to identify the main points that could be brought out in a manner that the essence of that write-up is well contained. So a Précis has to be logical, it has to be coherent, and it should contain all the significant points that are available in a writing. So as we have seen that Précis is essentially an executive summary, I would like to add that in organizations, when people work for their superiors, it is expected of them to write executive summaries for their superiors, as we very rightly understand that they would not have much time to glean through the information, to run over the pages and identify the main points. So it becomes essential that somebody does the exercise of producing an executive summary. What we have to remember when we are writing a Précis is that a Précis should be 1/3 of the size of the write-up. That is to say that if a write-up is of 900 words, the ideal length of the Précis would be 300 words. A Précis should be written in 300 words if the write-up is of 900 words. So normally, technically we say that it is just 1/3 of the write-up. It is also important to note that a Précis should always have a title. Without a title, the Précis would not make a sense, because the title is nothing but an essence of that Précis. Therefore, when we produce a Précis, we have to be very focused on producing an appropriate title that contains the essence of that write-up.
Difference between Précis and paraphrasing. A lot of students get confused between Précis and paraphrase. Précis writing should not be confused with paraphrasing. They are a lot different from each other.
There is a world of difference between Précis and paraphrasing. Normally, students get confused. They think Précis is synonymous with paraphrasing. Certainly, it is not. As I've already discussed what Précis is, I would like to briefly talk about paraphrasing. Why do we need to paraphrase? We need to paraphrase because we need to offer explanation. We need to generate clarity. We need to generate understanding. And therefore, paraphrasing would involve including all kinds of details which are not available in the Précis. So a paraphrasing is just opposite of Précis because it involves an elaboration. If I have to paraphrase a few sentences from a text, I would need to make an elaborate explanation. But then if I have to produce a Précis, I have to go and write a summary of that passage. That is the fundamental difference between Précis and paraphrasing.
A paraphrase is not just the gist of the essay, but it also includes all the details given in the essay. It does not exclude any details given by the author. The length of the paraphrase could be as long as the essay or it can also at times exceed the original length of the essay. As for example, Middle English, Modern English, when that April with his shores suit, when April with his showers sweet with fruit, the drought of March hath burst to the root. The drought of March has peered unto the root, and batheth every vein in switch liquor, and batheth each vein with liquor that has power, of which virtue endangered is the flower, to generate therein and sire the flower. When Zephyrus eke with a sweet breath, when Zephyr also has, with his sweet breath, inspired hath in every holt and heath, quickened again in every holt and heath, the tender crop and the young sun, the tender shoots and buds and the young sun, hath in the ram his half course run, into the ram one half his course has run, and small fowls make melody, and many little birds make melody, that sleepen all the night with open eye, that sleep through all the night with open eye. So pricketh him nature at her courages, so nature pricks them on to ramp and rage, than Longeon folk to goon on pilgrimages. Then do folk long to go on pilgrimage, and palmiers for to saken strange stones, and palmers to go seeking out strange strands, to foreign haves known in sundry lands, to distant shrines well known in sundry lands, and specially from every shire's end, of England to Canterbury they went. Of England they to Canterbury went, the holy blissful martyr for to seek, the holy blessed martyr there to seek, that him hath holpen when that they were weak, who helped them when they lay so ill and weak. The aforementioned paragraph is from the great English poet Geoffrey Chaucer's famous work, The Canterbury Tales, the general prologue. Here the length of the original text is equal to the paraphrased text. In other cases it might be different. Here on the right hand side is the paraphrase of the original text of the general prologue. It has been paraphrased from Middle English to Modern English. The paraphrase not only makes it easy for the students or people to understand the gist of the prologue, as it includes all the detailed description given by the writer, but it also adds certain information as well. It does not exclude any detail. On the other hand, Précis is different in many ways. Précis should be shorter than the original length of the original piece of writing. There is no fixed length of the Précis. No rules describe the length of the Précis, but it is preferred that its length be 1/3 of the length of the original text. For example, if there are 600 words in the text, then the Précis should be written in around 200 words. The Précis should only state the main points or the gist of the text. Detailed descriptions are not required for Précis because the 1/3 of the length of the text does not allow any extra writing. Extra details would increase the word length and you might forget to mention all the points. The reader's opinion is not required in the Précis as it is not opinion oriented. It is strictly summarizing the points of the text without description. The main points in the Précis should be arranged in a logical progressive order. It is not necessary that the reader should also arrange the point in the same order as arranged by the writer in his or her text. The writers can start the text with the conclusion and unravel the story in the middle or in the end. The reader could arrange the points according to his or her convenience. The points can be in any order, but they should always follow a chain of thought. There should be a proper beginning, middle and end. It should be a whole. This doesn't mean that a Précis cannot contain paragraphs. It can contain paragraphs according to the division of subject matter, but it should not be disconnected. It should make complete sense to the reader as there should be a logical connection between one paragraph and the other. Précis writing should not be a patchwork. By patchwork we mean quoting lines from the original text. Generally, students quote few lines from here and there and explain those lines and try to present it as a Précis. Précis should be written all in your own words. Using quotes from the original text is not recommended. It is also recommended that Précis should be simple, direct, grammatical and idiomatic English. It should be in simple language so that it is easy to understand. For example, there was a similar incident connected with another play. Just about this time, I had secured my father's permission to see a play performed by a certain dramatic company. This play, Harish Chandra, captured my heart. I could never be tired of seeing it. But how often should I be permitted to go? It haunted me and I must have acted Harish Chandra to myself times without number. Why should not all be truthful like Harish Chandra? Was the question I asked myself day and night. To follow truth and to go through all the ordeals Harish Chandra went through was the one ideal it inspired in me. I literally believed in the story of Harish Chandra. The thought of it all often made me weep. My common sense tells me today that Harish Chandra could not have been a historical character. Still, both Harish Chandra and Shravan are living realities for me, and I'm sure I should be moved as before if I were to read those plays again today. Source: My Experiments with Truth, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. Précis. Mohandas Gandhi as a child likes to watch the play Harish Chandra, which influenced his life to an extent that he wanted to play his part in the play. He believed in the legends of Harish Chandra and Shravan and wanted to live his life accordingly, which he did also. Note: it is an extract taken from Mahatma Gandhi's autobiography. His emotional side is presented here. Here he shows how his life is influenced by different characters in his life. He is influenced to an extent that he wanted to watch the play again and again, but at the same time, he was also afraid. All these details are extra details not required for a Précis. So in 2 to 3 lines, we have tried to give you the gist of the passage. The above Précis is almost the 1/3 of the length of the original, and it is also covering the main points of the paragraph given. Uses of Précis writing. Précis writing is an important exercise in reading. It is necessary to read attentively while reading for Précis writing, or for that matter, any kind of writing. But most of the students after reading only retain vague ideas about the text. It is not because the students are weak, but sometimes they are less focused on the main argument of the text and more attracted by the detailed description of the other irrelevant things. And sometimes it could be because of the lack of concentration, due to which the thoughts after reading the text are not well arranged or constructed in their minds. Lack of concentration while reading leads to the muddled and hazy thoughts about the text. But if they read the text attentively and then write them down, their thoughts will become clearer. Hence, before writing a Précis, it becomes easier if that person arranges the points in his or her mind. Précis writing demands attentive reading on the part of the reader. If the students do not read properly, they might not be able to produce a good piece of writing, because it is all about stating the main argument points in logical order. It teaches one to read with the mind and eyes both on the text. Précis writing is also an important exercise in composition. It teaches us to read our own thoughts clearly and penning them down on paper. It is not about penning down muddled thoughts. Instead, it is penning down a logical argument or a complete argument with all the points intact and in the logical order of progression. A person with a vague understanding of the text would repeat a lot of things. Repetition should be avoided, even if it is storytelling. He or she would also bring in a lot of unnecessary details or irrelevant matter. These details are brought in to make people understand different things through various examples. Sometimes they might also omit important information from the proper place and might also forget to say as well. Deletion of ideas or random placing of ideas might create a problem in the wholeness of the piece of writing. So in order to write a good piece of writing, one should avoid the above given points. It also teaches us to choose our words cautiously so that we don't run out of space and also can say the gist in the limited space given to us. It teaches us the art of compression and comprehension. With the help of both, we'll be able to grasp and reproduce our view quickly and concisely in future. It teaches us how to filter the extra things in a writing and only touch those things that are relevant and important. The reading and writing will also help to form opinions about the subject matter backed up by proper argument. It also prepares our mind for better understanding of the things around us. Another example of Précis, passage. Jim Corbett was a hunter who turned conservationist who earned his early fame slaying man-eating tigers and leopards that tormented the small villages of the Uttarakhand region, including the Champawat tiger, who was responsible for 436 documented deaths. His knowledge of the behaviors of the big cats and his examinations of their corpses led him to theorize that most man-eaters were suffering from illnesses derived from wounds turned septic, either from gunshots or other animals. So he didn't really turn conservationist. He always was one, just one, who took it upon himself to cull man-eaters. Corbett's home in Choti Haldwani has been turned into a museum and is worth seeing while you're staying in or near the park that was renamed in his honor. The main attraction of the park are, of course, the rare tigers, but there are also 488 different plant species and 650 different species of animals, including 37 different types of dragonfly and Indian elephants. Visitors are only allowed into some parts of the reserve, but these include spectacular riverine belts, hills leading into the Himalayas, marshlands and grasslands. As well as exploring on foot, you can also take jeep-borne game drives or climb aboard an elephant and get a better view over the long grasses in which so many of the animals here find safety. The Corbett River Lodge is on the fringe of the sanctuary, and with its thatched roofs and camp layout, staying here will make you feel like you're a great hunter from the colonial age, though hunting with a camera, not a shotgun, of course. Précis. Jim Corbett was a hunter who later in his life became a conservationist. He tried to understand the behavior of tigers. The Jim Corbett National Park is a tribute to his memory, which has a huge variety of plant and animal species. Visiting this place and enjoying the stay there gives a different experience altogether. In the next section of this episode, we will try to give you a rough idea of exactly how we should proceed with Précis writing. There will be step-by-step description of composing a Précis. Method of procedure. As we have already explained it to you before, that Précis writing requires intensive brain work. It not only demands attentive reading on the part of the reader, but also good writing skill. There is no shortcut of summarizing a text. One has to get to the gist of the text in order to write a good piece of writing. Given below are few steps one is recommended to follow. Reading. Read the text thoroughly and carefully in order to understand the argument. If you don't understand it in one go, you should read it over and over again until you can make sense of it. Things will gradually become clearer through this. The subject of the text should be clear after reading. The argument of the text should be clear. All the important points should be clear in the mind of the reader. Usually you are required to provide a title for the Précis. It is also an important exercise for the mind. The title should be something that summarizes the gist of the text in few words. Sometimes the gist is given in the key line of the text, which could be the first or last line of the text. Writing down 2 or 3 alternative titles in the rough space of the sheet often helps. At the end, you can choose the appropriate one. Reading the text again is necessary. Do not leave any words whose meaning is not clear. Make sure that you know everything in the text. By now, you will be in the position to decide what is essential and what is not. You will be in the position to decide what important points to include and what unnecessary details to exclude from the Précis. Generally, students try to opt for shortcuts or they ignorantly choose the unimportant incidents which are merely there to support the argument. There are no shortcuts to summarizing a text. Writing. Rough draft. After reading carefully, now you will be in a condition to write. For writing, note all the points roughly so that you don't forget any point. You should also keep in mind the word limit within which you have to write all your points. Make a rough draft and see that you have included all the points. It is unlikely that you will succeed in writing everything properly in the first draft. It will take some time to arrange everything properly and in order. Later, you can improve on the rough draft. Important points. There are some points you need to take into account while writing. It should not be a patchwork. It should be in your words. It should be written in simple English. It should only contain the main points or the text. 1/3 length of the original text is preferred. It should be complete and self-contained. Avoid unnecessary explanations. The art of compression. It is not necessary to follow the same stream of thought as followed by the writer while writing the text. You can arrange or rearrange the order according to your understanding. The only thing that is important is to be precise and present a logical progression of thought. Indirect speech. As a rule, a précis should be written in indirect speech. Revision. Revise before submitting the final draft. Ensure that all the points you intended to put are in place. Example. Ramakrishna Paramhans endowed Narendranath with all his spiritual powers and made him his heir. With this, Narendranath assumed the name of Swami Vivekanand and a sannyasi in true sense. After the demise of Swami Ramakrishna Paramhans, Swami Vivekanand started a mutt named after his guru at Belur. Swami Vivekanand implored the youth to develop the spirit of adventure. He travelled all over India and reached Kanyakumari. There he swam the ocean, reached to rock nearby and meditated there. During his travel, he found poverty all over India and was moved by the sufferings of the poor. He felt that serving mankind is serving God. He felt there was need for tremendous effort in this direction. He loved the motherland and was a great patriot. Swami Vivekanand's biography. Précis. Narendranath, who became famous as Swami Vivekananda, founded a mutt in Belur after the death of his guru, Sri Ramakrishna Paramhans. Having travelled all over India and witnessing the poverty of his countrymen, his belief in serving the poor was strengthened. Conclusion. In this episode, we have learned about the mechanics of writing. It is a process during which people learn to write. This particular episode is on précis writing. In this episode, the student should understand that writing is a creative process. It not only demands creativity, but it also demands attentive reading on the part of the reader. One cannot start writing without reading. One slowly learns the art of good writing after a lot of practice, following the proper rules. Good writing comes with time and practice. Précis writing is a practice of compression of the original text, compressing all the main points of the text in your own words without unnecessary descriptive details. In this episode, we have learned how to write a précis and also gathered knowledge about the rules of précis writing. In this episode, we have learned today about what is précis writing, the difference between précis and paraphrasing, uses of précis, method or procedure of précis writing. That is all.